Oh, hi, thank you very much for joining me today. This is video 3, racketeering and bribery, or bribery and racketeering. On the first page here, you will see this is a letter, an extract of an email from the law firm who represents the trustee for Company A and Company B. As you can see here, she states to me to be rest assured that there is no problem with regards to the ex-employee who stole millions of pounds from their law firm in 2015. So I'll read it to you. It says, finally, in our conversation on 23rd of January 2020, you made allegations connected to an online BBC News article dated the 14th of December 2015 in respect of a conviction of a former employee of a not said legal firm. Following an investigation in 2014, I can confirm that after a careful investigation involving all relevant authorities and professional accountants, as a member of that not said firm, I am satisfied that the estates were not affected by that incident. So that's when I'm just getting my teeth into the case in sort of December 2019. She sends me this email on the 28th of January 2020, trying to put me off the fact that I've uncovered a theft at her firm, and I'm very concerned for my family's trust. So on the next page here, you can see this is communication from her to myself, stating that concerning the estates, and that they were not affected. She also says it was confirmed that I spoke to a certain director of this law firm, and they have not been involved in historical matters concerning the estates of my grandfather and grandmother. This is just nonsense, because the lady I'm writing to has merged the trustee has merged his old law firm with this law firm, and the people that used to work on my family's trusts for 20 or 30 odd years are the same people. So, they've been involved from the very beginning. This is just lies and deceit, okay? So on the next page here, you'll see this is actually the first lawyer that I hired. So when I went to the island, I interviewed quite a few different lawyers because I knew I'd have this problem. And I eventually hired this one lawyer. He sort of said everything that was ticking all the boxes. Basically, he played nice, everyone else was playing nasty. So I fell for that trick, which was annoying. But anyway, originally you can see here he was okay, the first lawyer to begin with, okay? His opinion certainly does change, which we'll discuss later. They're talking here about my visit to the trustee's house and how it's not an issue. I'm trying to make communication with my trustee. What's wrong with that? Never met or spoke to anyone at the address. As you can see at the bottom of the page, it says it is a highly unusual situation that a trustee, one who practiced as a solicitor for many years, should seek to correspond with beneficiaries through a law firm, hereby incurring costs and expenses. So on the next page here is just continuation of that first lawyer's letter. Please read it. He was being quite correct. Maybe he hadn't been bribed at this point. He's only getting it's the first communication with the other law firm. People don't disclose their dirty secrets until you're really intertwined with them, and maybe he might be able to help. So on the next page again here, please do read it. It's just in respect of information on sort of the lawyer's first attitude towards what had been going on. Now, here is, again, it's just a lawyer saying there is no reason for an undertaking for Jordan Durante, and it is inappropriate for the trustee to link any meeting with conditions upon the same. So remember, the trustee is trying the tricks to make out I've threatened him. I never met him. Remember, I called the police before I went to the island. Then he called the police on me, so I got in there first. You can also see here my lawyer of the time was asking, does the individual have professional indemnity insurance? We've never had that question answered from the very beginning. Over on the next page here, you can see it's more examples of tricks that the other lawyers, they're trying to make out that they couldn't find us. Okay, what nonsense. We've been in communication with these people for 30 odd years. There was a point where they could only find us by email, but our emails have been the same all the way through. So just pure nonsense. Over on the next page here, it's still the first lawyer trying to ask the right questions to see what happens. On the next page here, this is the lawyer for the trustee, and he says some very strange things here. He says, so far as our client is aware, the estate was distributed by the late Mrs. M.E.R. Durrant with the assistance of her son Christopher Durante. Mrs. M.E. Durrant was the sole beneficiary. So they're agreeing there that my grandma was the sole beneficiary of the Emerald Trust, and he's trying to make out that was already distributed. But it's been the lie for a long time. They've never given us the estate accounts. The only things they've given us are just made up accounts. They can offer to get them witnessed by their chosen accountant, but we don't want accounts from him. He's part of the fraud. So over on the next page here, you can see it's still a letter from those lawyers who represent the trustee for company A and B, saying that I've apparently, scared his family and his daughters. Don't know how. I've never met them. So they're literally just trying to make out I'm a certain type of person who's done horrible things, and I haven't. I never met him. I still haven't spoken to him or met him in my life. So on the next page here, you'll see this is the first lawyer. What's happened here is I decided to sack the first lawyer. He told us that he used to work with the other lawyers. I asked him also to speak to a friend's uncle who'd been helping me sort of understand the case and organise the files. He refused to speak to them. We found that very suspicious. He also extended the trustee the opportunity 4 or 5 times to produce accounts. He never did. And now we sacked him, and I look at different documents that I've discovered. He was helping, or what was happening is the trustee law firm was dissolving the shareholders of Company B. And that's what they're trying to do. So their plan was to string it out for a bit, get us the first payment of £25,000 in 14 years. And that specific advocate wanted £19,000 of it. As you can see, there's still an unpaid bill of £8,900. We paid him 10 grand, and we said that's enough for the moment. So over on the next page here, you can see this is an email from the lawyers that got sacked, the first lawyers, and he's just trying to meddle and wants to have clarification that all of us have sacked him, not just me. On the next page here, again, it's the first lawyer writing with regards to the complicated case it's going to be, and it's just nonsense. So he's trying to sort of put me off the scent here. This one is a continuation of the first lawyer trying to make out that it's, trying to make out it's my fault. Yeah, so I've lodged a complaint against his law firm. He's not happy. He's trying to say that he's done everything correct. Yeah, but we all know that he's been working in cahoots with the other law firm against his client's own interests to help them dissolve shareholders of Company B to protect the reputation of the island. So it's completely not right, but there's lots of documents you can have a look at there. And on the next page, it's just a continuation of that complaint with that law firm. Then over to this, you can see it's the offshore police that would be looking for Company A and Company B's frauds. They said that they have been in contact with the advocate that I sacked, and basically they found no criminal matter. It does not provide enough information to assess if there's been a crime or not. And this is the police, So again, this is an email from the offshore police in that island, telling me if I contact anywhere else, my efforts will be futile. And they're trying to make excuses, saying that I keep sending them documents with no explanation. I make it quite clear that there's a fraud there to do with Company A and Company B. Over on the next page here, to do with the bribery and racketeering, you see to pull this off successfully, they need to dissolve the shareholders of the companies and then wait 3 years, because then they can legally burn the documents with their chosen liquidators and accountants. So who I'm emailing here is a company who's in charge of the administration of Company A. And as you can see here, I'm asking formally for my family for accounts. Okay. Over on the next page, it's their response. And basically what they're saying here is, I'll read it to you. Further to your email below and telephone messages left, we have made contact with the law firm who represent the executors of Mrs. Durrant's estate. We have advised them of your request, and as we are not in a position ourselves to provide any information to you, we can only provide such information to the shareholder. So we're not even shareholders of our family's own companies. This is an absolute joke, and the people who administrate our family companies won't give us accounts because they say you have to ask the trustee's lawyer for the accounts. It's just crazy. So look, here's the FSA of that island. At the time when there was a convicted fraudster that stole money from Company B and actually dissolved it, there was obviously an investigation in that island, and the trustee managed to get the banks to pay out for a certain client account. This client account was my family's. So who on earth did they pay out in 2015? Also, the police commissioner in 2015 was the head of the FSA at this time, who's involved in the historical frauds and my knife attack on November the 8th. But you can see on this page here, they're saying it should be noted that neither Company B or the Durante Trust were identified as suffering losses by an independent review undertaken. There is nothing from the information provided that identifies a further affected structure. But he dissolves the company. It's just crazy, and it's that Pacific offshore island's own convicted fraudster. Over in the next page here, you will see it's a continuation of that email. You can see the steps that I've had to go through, who I've been speaking to. So the previous head of that the CEO of that previous FSA offshore regulator was Canadian and was on holiday when I spoke to her. She never came back to her position. She retired early. She retired 2 or 3 years early from her contract. Very crazy. I told her about all sorts of different frauds that I knew about under her control and what her staff were doing. I also told her about a very big fraud that's in the newspaper, and it's the same liquidator who came in to do that project, who was in charge of Company B, who managed to, in 2015, managed to find out that Company B had nothing to do with the Durante family. So I've got to ask myself, what did the trustee tell the police, and who's paid out for those thefts? So over on the next page now, on the next page is a letter from the regulator of that Pacific offshore island, saying they're going to do another review of this complaint. This has been 4 or 5 times with that body reviewing it. On the next page here, you can see, as mentioned, please contact me only concerning your formal complaint against the authority. So because I don't trust them, I obviously sometimes ring a different part of that department, because what's happened before there, when the new CEO came over, I was assured by all members of the staff that she would be looking at the case for the 4th or 5th review. When she arrived in her offices, I called her after about a week or 2, spoke to her, and she'd never heard my name. So the individuals who are re-investigating these reviews after 4, 5, 6 times are the same individuals re-investigating themselves. I mean, one of them commits fraud and says that Company B and the Durante Trust were not affected, just like the trustee's lawyer at the time, at the beginning of this video. I showed you the footage that said that the family trust hadn't been affected by the ex-employee's theft. So over on the next page here, you will see here, it's again, they can confirm the complaint is going to be reviewed. But bear in mind what I've just told you. When I rang up and spoke to this lady who's just got into that position of the CEO, she'd never heard my name. So they're covering it up. On the last page here again, You can read an email which I've sent to them explaining everything I'm talking about, like the lady from Canada resigning early. And really, if everything I'm saying is true, the way these different police forces and regulated agencies or regulators of these islands or financial services, of the financial services, why is this happening? It can only be because they're covering up their frauds, bribing each other, and they're corrupt. So hence the name of the video, Bribery and Corruption, or Bribery and Racketeering. Thanks for listening today. Bye-bye.